The conference room lights flickered as I stared at the email on my screen, my coffee growing cold beside my keyboard. The timestamp read 3:47 a.m., and the sender's name made my stomach twist. Michael Torres, my former research partner and the man who had nearly destroyed my reputation in quantum computing research. From Michael Torres. Subject: We need to talk. Critical vulnerability. Diana, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. But there's something wrong with the quantum encryption protocol. Something I missed. Something that could compromise everything. Please, lives are at stake. Mike. My name is Dr. Diana Chen, and 3 years ago, my best friend and research partner tried to discredit my work and claim sole credit for our breakthrough in quantum encryption. Now here he was, reaching out after years of silence. You've got that look again, said Raj, my current lead developer, leaning against my office doorframe. He'd been there through the aftermath of Michael's betrayal, helping me rebuild my career when most of Silicon Valley thought I was finished. I turned my monitor toward him. Look who decided to break radio silence. Raj's eyes narrowed as he read the email. Are you actually considering responding to him? After everything? I rubbed my temples, feeling the familiar tension headache building. The Michael I knew wouldn't reach out unless it was serious, especially not about security vulnerabilities. The Michael you knew also wouldn't have tried to destroy your career, Raj pointed out. Remember the press conference, the allegations of academic fraud that mysteriously disappeared once he had control of the patents? I did remember. I remembered every excruciating detail of that day, standing in the back of the conference room, watching Michael present our joint research as his sole work, carefully editing me out of every breakthrough, every discovery. He'd spent months building his case, documenting every meeting, every line of code, all while sharing lunch with me every day and asking about my family. The memory of those lunches still burned. We'd sit in the university cafeteria, trading ideas about quantum states and encryption protocols while he secretly prepared to take everything from me. He'd ask about my parents in Taiwan, about my sister's medical residency, about the future of our research together, all while methodically documenting ways to prove he'd done the work alone. I'm going to meet with him, I said finally, at the lab, tomorrow morning. Raj sighed. I knew you would. Want me to stick around? I shook my head. No, but stay close to your phone. Whatever this is about, I want it documented. That night, I couldn't sleep. I found myself in my home office reviewing old research notebooks from our time working together. Page after page of calculations, diagrams, late-night breakthroughs scribbled in my handwriting next to his. We'd been more than research partners, we'd been friends who finished each other's sentences, who could communicate complex theoretical concepts with just a glance. I paused at one particular page, dated 2 weeks before everything fell apart. We had a breakthrough in quantum state preservation, something that had eluded us for months. I remembered the excitement in Michael's voice as we worked through the mathematics, the way we'd ordered champagne at 3 in the morning to celebrate. This changes everything, he'd said, raising his glass. We're going to revolutionize secure communications together. 2 weeks later, he was presenting that very breakthrough as his sole work, suggesting I had tried to take credit for his discoveries. The champagne had barely been recycled before he turned on me. The next morning, I arrived early at Chen Quantum Solutions, the company I'd built from scratch after Michael's betrayal. Our lobby displayed the awards and patents we'd earned in the past 3 years, all dated after I'd started over, all representing innovations that went far beyond what Michael had tried to claim as his own. The building itself was a testament to how far we'd come. From a tiny rented office space in a rundown part of town to a modern facility in the heart of Silicon Valley's quantum computing corridor. Every piece of equipment, every line of code, every breakthrough had been earned through honest work and real innovation. At precisely 9 a.m., security called up. Dr. Chen, your visitor is here. Send him up, I said, straightening my jacket, professional. Distant. I wasn't meeting my old friend, I was meeting a competitor who had tried to destroy me. The elevator doors opened and there he stood. Michael Torres looked exactly as I remembered, yet somehow completely different. The confident swagger was gone, replaced by something I'd never seen in him before. Diana, he said softly, taking in the lab around him. This is incredible. What's the vulnerability, Michael? I kept my voice neutral, clinical. He flinched at my tone. Can we sit down? This isn't easy to explain. I led him to my office, watching as his eyes darted over the whiteboards covered in equations. Work that had surpassed everything he'd stolen from me. He paused at one board, his expression changing as he processed what he was seeing. You solved the decoherence problem, he said quietly. The one we could never. The one you claimed you'd solved alone, I corrected. What's the vulnerability? He sat heavily in one of my visitor chairs, looking suddenly older than his 38 years. Taurus cybersecurity is in trouble, he began. The quantum encryption protocol. There's a fundamental flaw in the implementation. We're seeing anomalies we can't explain, patterns that shouldn't be possible. I felt a surge of grim satisfaction. The research he'd stolen had been incomplete. Promising, yes, but still missing critical components. I'd known there were problems to solve, challenges to overcome. But he'd been so eager to claim it as his own, so sure he could figure it out without me. And you're telling me this because... I left the question hanging. Because you're the only one who might understand enough to help, he admitted, his composure cracking. We've got government contracts, Diana. Military communications, diplomatic channels. If this vulnerability is what I think it is, the potential damage is catastrophic. I walked to my window, looking out over the San Francisco skyline. The fog was rolling in from the bay, shrouding the tops of buildings in gray uncertainty. Potential damage to national security or to Taurus cybersecurity's stock price. Both, he said quietly. But I'm here because of the security implications. Whatever you think of me, you know I wouldn't risk national security for pride. I turned back to face him, studying the man who had once been my closest friend. The dark circles under his eyes. The slight tremor in his hands as he clutched his tablet. This wasn't the confident, calculating Michael who had betrayed me. This was someone genuinely terrified of what he'd discovered. Show me the anomalies, I said finally, moving to my workstation. For the next hour, Michael walked me through the patterns they discovered, subtle irregularities in the quantum state measurements, unexpected correlations that shouldn't exist. To anyone else, they might have looked like random noise. But I knew exactly what I was seeing. You implemented the full protocol without understanding the quantum entanglement preservation requirements, didn't you? I asked, though I already knew the answer. He nodded slowly. We thought we could solve it with classical error correction. But the problem's deeper than that, isn't it? I pulled up my own research, the work I'd done after starting over. The vulnerability isn't in the implementation, Michael. It's in the fundamental approach you took with the stolen research. I showed him our latest results, a completely new approach to quantum encryption that solved the very problems he was encountering. His eyes widened as he processed what he was seeing. This is how did you? Because I didn't try to build on incomplete work, I said simply. I went back to basics, approached the problem from a completely different angle, and I did it with a team that understood both the quantum mechanics and the cryptography, not just the business opportunities. He sat back, the full weight of what I was showing him sinking in. Not only had I recovered from his betrayal, but I'd also surpassed everything he tried to steal. His company was struggling with an obsolete approach while I had already solved the problems he couldn't figure out. There's more, I continued, pulling up another set of data. We've been monitoring unusual patterns in global quantum communications. Patterns that match your vulnerability signatures. His face went pale. You mean? Someone's already exploiting the flaw, I confirmed. They're being subtle about it, but they're definitely there. Based on the traffic patterns, I'd say they've been gathering data for at least 6 months. Michael slumped in his chair, the last vestiges of his professional facade crumbling. Oh God. The diplomatic channels, the military communications, aren't compromised yet, I assured him. The pattern suggests they're still in the reconnaissance phase, mapping the network topology. But it's only a matter of time. How long? I pulled up our analysis projections. At the current rate of probing, 2 months, maybe 3 before they gather enough data to start meaningful decryption attempts. What are my options? He asked quietly. I laid out 3 possibilities. 1, he could try to fix the problems himself, risking national security in the process. 2, he could publicly admit the vulnerability, leading to immediate cancellation of his contracts and probable criminal investigations. Or 3, we could work together to implement a controlled transition to my new protocol, minimizing the security risks while maintaining critical systems. Why would you help me? he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. After everything I did. Because unlike you, I never forgot what this work is really about, I replied. It's not about patents or profit margins or proving something to the world. It's about protecting people, securing their communications, keeping them safe. And right now, there are critical systems at risk because of mistakes you made trying to prove you could succeed without me. We spent the next 12 hours in my lab, mapping out a transition strategy. Raj joined us eventually, his initial hostility giving way to professional focus as we tackled the enormous challenge ahead. By midnight, we had a preliminary plan. The next few months were intense. We worked around the clock, coordinating with government agencies, implementing new protocols, and monitoring for any signs that the vulnerability was being actively exploited. Michael stepped down as CEO of Taurus Cybersecurity, acknowledging both the security flaw and the true origins of the original research. The press had a field day with the story. Tech rivalry turns to collaboration in national security crisis. But what mattered wasn't the headlines, it was the knowledge that we prevented a potential security catastrophe. The transition wasn't smooth. There were congressional hearings, military investigations, endless meetings with three-letter agencies. Michael faced serious consequences for his actions, both legal and professional. But through it all, he worked tirelessly to make things right, to help implement the new security protocols properly. 6 months after that first meeting, we gathered in my lab to monitor the final phase of the transition. The last of the vulnerable systems were being migrated to our new protocol, and we were watching the network metrics carefully for any signs of problems. All sections reporting green, Raj announced, scrolling through the status updates. Quantum state coherence maintaining within expected parameters. No anomalous patterns detected. I looked at the main display, watching as the old vulnerability signatures gradually faded from the global network map. Beside me, Michael let out a long breath. "It's really over," he said quietly. I nodded. "The technical part, at least." He turned to face me. "Diana, I know I can never fully make up for what I did, but working with you again these past months, seeing how you approach problems, how you lead your team, I understand now what I got wrong back then." "And what's that?" "I thought success was about being the one who got credit, who owned the patents, who made the headlines. But real success is about creating something meaningful, something that helps people, something that lasts." A year later, I received a package from Seattle. Inside was a copy of a quantum computing journal featuring an article about our new encryption protocol. A note was attached. "Diana, I saw this and thought of you. You've created something remarkable, something I never could have, even with all the stolen research in the world. I'm teaching now, trying to make sure the next generation of researchers understands that real innovation comes from integrity, not shortcuts." I spend a lot of time thinking about those days in the university lab, all our late-night breakthroughs and celebrations. I threw away something precious in my rush to prove myself, something that can't be replaced. But watching you build something far greater than what I tried to steal has taught me what real success looks like. Thank you for showing me that true success isn't about claiming credit. It's about creating something that matters. Michael. I pinned the note to my wall, not from nostalgia, but as a reminder that sometimes the greatest victory isn't in defeating those who wronged you, but in rising above their betrayal to create something truly meaningful, something that couldn't be stolen because it wasn't just about code or patents. It was about understanding, innovation, and the commitment to doing things right. That reminder proved valuable in the years that followed. Chen Quantum Solutions continued to grow, pushing the boundaries of quantum encryption and secure communications. We developed new protocols, solved previously intractable problems, and built systems that protected millions of people's privacy and security. And sometimes, late at night in my lab, I'd look at that note and remember the lesson it taught me. That true success isn't measured by what others try to take from you, but by what you choose to create and share with the world. That was a kind of success worth having, and worth sharing even with those who once tried to take everything from you.